Welcome everyone to our Survive and Thrive Digital Dives 12 Tuesdays. I'm Rachel Perkins, the Education Outreach Specialist for Texas Oncology Foundation. If you're a cancer patient, caregiver, or professional and want to educate yourself about the cancer realm, then we invite you to subscribe and join us every Tuesday for the next, I think we're 9 Tuesdays now, was 12 Tuesdays. We're glad to have you all with us today, and we are excited to hear from Debbi Newton discussing family dynamics during the holidays. So just a little bit of a foundation intro for everybody. The Texas Oncology Foundation is dedicated to providing support to cancer patients where they live, work, and receive treatment. Through Survive and Thrive programming, the foundation can provide educational events and resources to help build community connections and support all affected by cancer. And some of those education events include this one. So we're so glad that we get to serve you guys today. I get the pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Debbi Newton, who is a licensed clinical oncology social worker located at the VA Healthcare Facility in Dallas, Texas. She received her Bachelor's of Social Work degree from Eastern Washington University, a Master's of Social Work degree from Stephen F. Austin University, and a Master's of Public Administration degree and her Doctorate of Social Work from the Capella University. Debbi has over 17 years of social work experience and assists patients and caregivers through all phases of the cancer experience by providing counseling, psychosocial support, and knowledge of community resources. Debbi is also a former employee of Texas Oncology and has facilitated numerous support groups on coping with cancer diagnosis, caregiving, grief and loss. So thank you so much, Debbi, for being here with us today. If you want to go ahead and take a moment to share your slides, we would be happy to listen to your presentation.
Welcome, everybody. I am glad that you guys are here. And one of the reason why I'm here is because the holidays are soon approaching. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of that. And all of the fun and excitement and craziness and chaos that the holidays bring to us. Even when we don't have cancer, it's still like that. Then you add cancer and caregiving for your loved one who has cancer, that can bring a whole different lens to the holidays. So today we're going to talk about family dynamics during the holidays, what our expectations are. And also, when we think about our family dynamics, it's not necessarily just the crazy uncle or grandma and grandpa and stuff. We also have other families that are kind of an extended extension of ourselves. And that includes like our work families, our church families, our if you're in Bible study, that can be considered a extended type of family. So families come in all shapes and sizes. They have all different types of members. And so when we're going through this presentation, I want you to consider all of the types of families you have in your circle. Okay. So the holidays, like I was just saying, it's stressful. Even the best times can, there is good stress, and then there is also negative stress. Good stress is when we get all excited about Christmas. Kids are running around, we're baking, we're shopping, we're listening to Christmas music. For the Thanksgiving holidays, people tend to come on over. But this year's kind of different too, because we will also be coming right off of an election year. And that in itself can bring a whole nother dynamic to our families. And when we're thinking about that and what's coming ahead, it's not uncommon for us to start thinking about the certain individuals that, from last year, they caused a ruckus, or they may have said something hurtful, or throughout the year, if we've gotten hurt or estranged from certain family members, we kind of dread seeing them for the holidays this year. But also too, how are we going to get through the holidays and treatments, or healing from treatments and caregiving, and trying to keep up with all of that? With cancer, As you know, the treatments have a long-lasting effect. In some treatments, they can take up to a year to 2 years for healing. And caregiving for your loved one with cancer is both rewarding and exhausting at the same time. Then you add on normal holiday stress. You'll develop some challenges and see what kind of challenges you guys. And each family is different, right? So each one has different challenges. Sometimes cancer can be an isolating event where, you know, you've learned the subculture of cancer. Your friends and family on the outside, they don't quite understand everything that you've been through, especially if, you know, when we think of the stigma of cancer, we think of somebody, you know, laying in bed and really sick and all of these things. And yes, there are days that you will have it, but your family members are thinking this is an everyday event. So if you show up to an event, well, you look okay, so you must be over this cancer. But they don't understand that cancer isn't all encompassing. It affects your, not just your medical side, your financial side, the spiritual side, your psychological and emotions. And post-cancer, there's a lot of other things that come on. Typically, the emotional side of cancer will come about, and during the holidays, it tends to magnify those emotions. Family members and even our friends and our extended families, they may not know what to say, or they may be so positive about the holidays and that you look great and you're going to fight this and we're going to get through this and all of these things. They may be well intentioned, but sometimes they might say something that's awkward or even hurtful. And when you think about this, this might prompt you to ask yourself, how do I take care of our holiday traditions and myself at the same time? And that's for both the person with cancer and the caregiver. That is very, very important question to ask. And how are you going to navigate interacting with friends and family members without feeling overwhelmed or spread too thin? The first step you do is you acknowledge where you are. The traditional roles that you might have filled during the holidays. You know, I know of a person who had cancer who always played Santa, and this year he's just not able to play Santa. And so they're renting a Santa in order to make, you know, that tradition still okay, but a little bit different. Loved ones may still expect you to fill those traditional roles like I just talked about. That's especially if you well, you look all right. You look like you survived cancer. You must be feeling okay because you're standing and breathing and doing things. But it's important to understand that you still are healing from cancer if you are post treatment. So cancer treatments, cancer in general, can place an enormous strain on personal relationships, especially between the person with cancer and the caregiver. You may feel tired, exhausted from the treatments, may feel out of sorts. There's all these different side effects that you're contending with. You may be in pain. And your caregiver, who has every intention of helping, may be also reaching their threshold of stress and feeling overwhelmed while they're trying to be positive for you and take care of you. And now the holidays are coming and they're having to think about that and how that's going to happen. If you have a lot of children and a lot of grandchildren, you know, who's going to have, and you always had the holidays over at your house, that might look a little different this year. And that's something that you would need to speak with your family. Maybe one of the maybe one of your children can take it on this year, or you know, all the children come over and you have them help out. A lot of times, families with a lot of children and a lot of grandchildren, I show them how they can have these family meetings and be upfront and honest with them. Hey, you know, even though I look okay, or, you know, it doesn't look like cancer treatments are affecting me, they are, and we're going to need your help. And maybe you don't want all of that company in your home because you want to be able to kind of leave the party or the festivities and go home and retreat to your quiet place when you've had enough. Also, part of acknowledging where you are is your physical limitations brought on by either current or past treatments. This can include surgeries. It's exhausting to go through cancer treatments. You know, radiation can take it out of you as well. I don't know how many people here who have neuropathy, but neuropathy is it's not a lot of fun. And when you're, you know, it's constantly there, or even pain. If you're having chronic pain, that's not you know, that's not something that's quite enjoyable during the holidays. Nausea, that's a big one. And plus also certain chemos can change your taste and your taste buds. So the meals that you had during Thanksgiving or for Christmas, they may have been your favorites, but now it's like, nope, I can't eat that. Oops, I went backwards. Okay. If you are post-treatment, or even coming down to the tail end of treatment, or even in the middle of treatment, this is not uncommon where you say, I'm going through all this, but what if it gets worse? Or what if this comes back? And then is this all in vain? Fear of recurrence is probably the #1 fear at post-treatment for both the person who has cancer and also the caregivers and family members. When you're thinking about your traditional holiday activities, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's important to determine for you and the caregiver, what's most important to you. Is it having the dinner, or, you know, can we just have a secret Santa so you're not going running around shopping and trying to get something for everybody? And then tailor them to your needs. If you're having some physical side effects from the cancer, let your family members know, hey, you know, this is this. The caregiver can also say, you know, we don't mind coming over, but it's not going to be an all-day affair. We will have to leave early if your loved one is feeling ill, or if you both are just exhausted. And I have some people who have said, that they are like paring it down to just immediate family members, and then they give the gifts to the grandchildren, you know, and then off they go. It's kind of like a trick or treat for Christmas, if you will, where they stop, visit, and then they move on. And those are some of the patients who are having like really, really extreme physical issues. It's important for both the person with cancer and also the caregiver. I can't stress this enough. Caregiving is a huge, huge role for the person who has cancer. And so you're not only having to step up to the plate for your loved one, but you're also putting yourself behind to the side. It's important that both of you guys can put yourself first and learn to communicate exactly what it is you want for the holidays. One person may not even want to have to fool with all the festivities and gift giving and people. And also, don't forget, with treatment, your immunity system goes down, but caregivers, y'all's immunity system goes down too, because you're so busy caregiving and taking care of the household and fulfilling other roles that you are required to do, that your immunity system goes down during this the holiday season. And so both of you guys are more vulnerable to catching cold, flu, and other viruses that are out there. The other thing that I think is really important is to give ourselves permission permission to decline an invitation. So you have the energy to enjoy the things that you have talked about that's important to you guys for the holidays. You don't have to go to every invitation for gatherings. You don't have to go to, if you were used to visiting these friends and these friends and this friends throughout the month. I know my calendar for December gets pretty booked for Christmas because all my family and friends are all spread out. But every now and again, I will decline an invitation just for that self-care factor. So we're not running ourselves ragged. And also for people with cancer, you're not running yourselves ragged and risking some type of infection or virus. Oops, I went backwards. Okay. When we are thinking about our traditions, what is right for you in your, when we think about our normal traditions, what I do for Christmas may be different from what another person does, and what they do may be different from another person's Christmas tradition or even Thanksgiving traditions. Not only that, we have many religions too that celebrate or don't celebrate the holidays, right? So I wanted to put that out there because we all think that Christmas has to be perfect. Thanksgiving meal has to be perfect. All of these things have to go just right because we're trying to impress who? I mean, our family members are supposed to love us regardless if, the garnish wasn't put together just right, So there's no wrong or right way or perfect way to celebrate. There are ways that you can modify your tradition, and sometimes getting together with the family and brainstorming on starting new traditions or modifying the old ones that create new traditions. Like in the example that I gave you was for the person who was dressed up as Santa Claus. Now they're renting Santa Claus, and that takes a load off of that person, but also I think it's a new tradition that can be carried on throughout the years and take that stress off of that person and the caregiver. One of the most important things that I think everybody, whether you have cancer or not, forgets is managing our stress, not just our holiday stress, but also our daily stress, right? And stress is part of life. Anxiety is part of life. We can be depressed sometimes about some things that are happening in our lives. But if we're not staying hydrated and eating sensibly and getting a good enough sleep and being active, even if it's a walk around the park and also practicing mindfulness, which like when you're eating, what are you eating? Do you smell the food? Do you taste the flavors of the food? Are you aware of the textures of the different foods? Salad definitely has a different texture than steak, right? But half the time we don't even notice that anymore because we're busy being busy. And during the holidays, we have a tendency to not drink a lot of water, not get a lot of sleep, and then we overindulge in all of our favorite foods. So to manage our stress better during the holidays, it's important to take care of ourselves. And then also, if you have a gathering that you do want to go to, and it's going to be like right during the treatment. I have had some patients and their families who have asked their provider to be flexible. So, if they're doing chemo this one day and they know their next chemo is going to be around Thanksgiving, can we wait till the week after Thanksgiving? And a lot of times the providers are willing to work around the holidays or special events that are coming up, so that you're not going to be experiencing the side effects of treatment, and for caregivers too, dealing with those side effects. And it's important too not to stuff our feelings. It's very important. We all do it. It's almost it is subconscious way that we do. The thing is though, is just like if we take the holidays out of the equation, We stuff our feelings throughout the entire cancer process because we're so busy taking care of the medical side that it's not uncommon when the treatments are over and we're now to monitoring, we have this tsunami of emotions that come around, and that's for both the patient and the caregiver and family members too. Cancer is a grieving process. It has a lot of emotions that's tied to it. We tend to stuff it. The holidays, when you bring in the holidays, it can magnify those feelings. We can feel, nostalgic over the days that when we didn't have cancer or uncertain about our future. And so we may be fearful and anxious. In some cases, people say, is this my last Christmas? Family members might say, hey, let's do this, this, and this, because it could be, well, you just never know. Right. And while I think they're being well intended for the person who has cancer and their caregiver, that's not really something that they're wanting to focus on. It's important to focus on the here and now. Okay. If you feel tearful, cry. Tears are very, very healing. And also they can bring a sense of relief. They are the body's way of releasing stress, especially that pent up anxiety or depression. So if you want to cry, cry. That is also part of the grieving process. Laughter is also a very good form of relaxing and stress relief too. Tears are also stress relieving. I don't know if y'all remember the last time you had a good cry and how you felt tired. And just this sense of, like, oh, okay, that was interesting. I'm going to go take a nap now, right? Or sometimes when we laugh so hard, our sides hurt, but we have all of those endorphins and that dopamine from laughing, that we feel better, that we have this sense of joy that's going on. And then also sharing our feelings with others can be comforting too. I know that, sometimes, or in my practice, there are times where the cancer patient and the caregiver, one's trying to be very strong, the other one's trying to be strong for the other, but neither are voicing their fears or, feeling anxious about uncertainty, fear of recurrence, even, dreading the holidays that are coming up. We tend to hide our negative emotions, but I think that if we shine light on them, we realize then that they're not as negative as they are, but also the other person may be feeling the same way. And it kind of turns around that sense of isolation where I feel like I'm the only one thinking this and I don't want to ruin everybody's day or be a burden or all of that. That's not what caring for each other is about. We are not burdens to one another. We're supposed to help each other in times of need. And so being able to openly share our grief, share our feelings, and also be able to listen and not minimize the other person's feelings or thoughts that they're thinking about isn't just as important as well. So I said before, it is common to experience a mixture of anticipation. Christmas is a lot of fun and exciting, but also then preparing for Christmas, it also brings a different type of anticipation. A lot of times, people who have cancer or who have had cancer or right in the smack in the middle of it get this nostalgia, especially if they've had family members who have passed away from cancer. But Christmas and Thanksgiving can also bring excitement to see our family members that we haven't seen in a while. And then apprehension, how is that all going to look? What is this going to be like? But also, what's going to happen in the future? Okay, very, very common. And then, like I said before, let your feelings breathe. It is so important to feel your feelings. That's how you get through them. And then talk over with a loved one, a friend, and even a counselor. There are at Texas Oncology, if you're at Texas Oncology, MD Anderson, all of the cancer places have a social worker that that's what they're there for, to be non-judgmental, safe places, to be able to say the raw feelings so that you're getting them out of your system and not letting them fester inside. That creates anxiety and depression. And then the most important thing I would think for the holidays is to first acknowledge where you are. Where am I in this whole process? And what are the capabilities that I have? And how much can I give this year? Not in money, but of myself. If you are exhausted, let family members know. The only way people know how to help is if we communicate and discuss that with them. Okay, any questions, comments, complaints, concerns? Any particular situations you want to talk about?
So the chat has been going off, Debbie. I'm sure
Okay.
if anyone has a question, make sure to put it in the chat, or if you feel comfortable, you can come off of mute. One of the first things I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up. One of the first things that was said in the chat is this year I plan on setting healthy boundaries, which I thought was really great. And some of those boundaries included giving herself grace, not trying to stress about gifts or food or et cetera, anything like that. So just a comment in the chat.
Yeah, boundaries are the best form of self-care that you can have for yourself. Most people think, well, if I say no, I'm going to hurt that person's feelings. So here's the deal with people's feelings. If you guys put your arms out to your sides and then just start turning around like that, you'll see that you've created this like sphere around you. So like you're in your own little bubble. That is called your circle of control. Anything outside that is outside your circle of control. You can't make a person be well-intended or change their expectations, or, if they get upset because you said something, if you've called them a name and you feel convicted and you feel like, I shouldn't have said that, it's okay to apologize and move forward. But for you to say, this year I've been through a lot, and so these are where my boundaries are. I have decided that, or we have decided that we're not going to be going out. Our immunity systems have been low, all of these other things. If you would like, some people actually, I've gone into people's homes and they say, here's a mask. I'm not offended. They have low immunity systems. I put the mask on and I said, I apologize. I didn't even think of that, right? It's not uncommon for, or even a bad thing to ask. Okay, if I'm coming over, just expect I'll be wearing a mask, or will there be masks worn there because we have a low immunity system? Asking people to accommodate is not out of the question. You are either fighting cancer, you're going through in the middle of all the treatments, which drags your immunity system down too. Or you have just finished treatments and your immunity systems are still compromised. So you might be feeling well one day and feeling great that morning. You're excited to go see your family. This is going to be a great day. And by the time you get there, you're nauseated and, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it another half hour. I've got to go home. That's a boundary. That's okay. Allow yourself to do that. You don't even have to apologize for that. You're fighting cancer. And caregivers, you don't have to apologize for that either. You are also fighting cancer, helping your loved one fight cancer.
Yeah, I like how you said it's okay to ask for people if they're wearing masks, or if you want to hand someone a mask when they come in your home. I think that's a really good way to do it. I also had a participant say, this year I'm doing Zoom and FaceTime. Traveling is hard. I
I love that.
Zoom, and it's also hard financially.
Yeah. You know what? That is a fantastic idea. If you're feeling exhausted and you don't feel like going around with yelling kids and all that excitement, and you know what I'm talking about. It's just you walk in, you're so excited, but everybody's running around, and all of a sudden you're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, okay, you love seeing it, but on the other hand, it's exhausting you. You know what? Tell everybody take out their tablet because you're getting ready to go on FaceTime. And you can join there and watch it in your comfy recliner and laugh and have a great time and have a bowl of chicken soup because your taste buds are not feeling well. And that's just an excellent idea. Is that Renee? Renea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if anyone has any questions, again, feel free to come off mute or put them in the chat. We also had a participant say, I'm learning this process is not a race, to slow down, to rest, and calm my mind, which you kind of talked to that a little bit about being mindful during your
Yes.
presentation.
Does anybody practice mindfulness now? I do.
I do.
And I'm not talking about the listen to the music. Sometimes it's just sitting back in your chair and laying on the back of your couch and putting your hands on your legs and just closing your eyes and listening to yourself breathe. That's an art of mindfulness. It's not thinking about anything, worrying about anything. It's just listening to your breath. I don't know if anybody here gets anxiety attacks or starts feeling so overwhelmed. Tapping is another way to practice mindfulness. I'll give you a little hack. Sometimes we get so anxious that, when we start thinking about worries, what if this, what if that, and can I do this, or what if this doesn't happen, and all of these things alerts our amygdala. Our amygdala is going, uh-oh, she's getting upset or he's getting upset. What do I do? What do I do? Talk to me, brain. Well, what happens is as amygdala wakes up, here's your common sense, your logic, your rational part of your brain. The door starts closing because amygdala is getting riled up. And have you ever done something where, like in the heat of an argument, you said something and then you go back and think about it and you said, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know what I was thinking. And even people go, what were you thinking? Well, the answer to that is that you weren't, because amygdala hijacked this thing shut. Your rational side just got hijacked by amygdala, and amygdala took over. And what I mean by that is amygdala has 4 things that it can do. It can fight, it can flight, it can freeze, or it can start fawning. And if you've said something in the heat of an argument, you're literally, this part here is blacked out. It's not like, oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Amygdala's like, I'm in charge. And so you say something, it thinks you're needing to fight. So it'll say something to bump that person. That person walks off or gets upset and leaves, right? That's exactly what amygdala wanted to happen because it thought you were in danger, right? When we practice, I love that flexi touch. Yeah. Even getting one of those lymph node brushes. It's like, when I don't have one here on my desk, but just brushing yourself. If your skin's not sensitive, you can brush your arms, brush underneath, just brush your belly. You've got lymph nodes everywhere. And when you do that, it helps to reset your vagal system, which is your parasympathetic, I can't say that word. Yes, listening to jazz and walking. I love it. Love it. So when we get upset or anxious, especially cancer is considered a traumatic event. Okay. The minute the doctor says, yes, I'm afraid your tests come back, and well, you've got cancer. It doesn't matter what stage. It doesn't matter if it's metastatic or not. The word cancer is the trauma word. And what happens is our brain kind of slows down in the beginning, and it almost feels like you're walking through molasses because you're in shock. And anything that that doctor said in the beginning, you're not hearing, your caregiver's barely hearing because they're still going, wait, what did they say? And you're like, wait, what? Are you sure? Do I need it? Some people go get a second opinion. Others, they're like, okay, it takes a few days for it to calm down, but then your brain's constantly worrying about future survival, fight this cancer. And it also goes through a grieving process too, because the person you were on the other side of the cancer diagnosis is different now. How do you get your brain to shut up in the first place? I love that question. And that's a very good question. That's called your monkey brain. Practicing mindfulness is a great way to shut your brain up in the first place. Have you ever like I'll go gardening and the day passes and I couldn't even tell you what I thought about. I just know that I had a good time. Building puzzles is another way. A lot of people will do this activity. It's called watching TV. All that does, that's not mindfulness. That's not mind numbing. So it's allowing you to inject yourself into a TV show where you're thinking about what's going on there, but that's not mindfulness. Cassandra, you're right. You do. You take an inventory of life, don't you? The stuff that wasn't that important, it's gone. Any kind of drama, I don't have time for. All of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions? Comments, concerns? Was this helpful for you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll wait and see if anyone else puts in how it was helpful or if it was helpful to them in the chat. We can go ahead and kind of close up a
Thank you,
little bit.
Monica.
Thanks,
Hey,
Monica.
Dean, I would look up mindful, like on YouTube, you can go and look up mindfulness or mindful meditations, right?
Mhm.
They have like little 5-minute stints. If you have Headspace or Calm, those are two apps. Those are also really great. They have short little snippets that you listen to their voice and what they're saying. And before you know it, that monkey brain has started taming down. So that might be helpful for you too.
Yeah. As always, if you have any last minute questions or you're reflecting on this presentation and some questions come up, feel free to email me and I will give them directly to Debbie so that she can help us answer and kind of think through some of those questions you may have later on down the road. We're going to go ahead and close up today. Feel free to keep using the chat. I just wanted to say thank you guys for participating with us today. And thank you so much, Debbie, for joining us today. You always have the best insight. We really appreciate it.
I hope
Just
you guys have a very safe holidays, y'all.
Yes. Just a last minute reminder, session was being recorded and will be sent to all registrants in follow-up email. Make sure to like our Facebook page and stay current with the foundation there as well. We have some upcoming webinars next Tuesday with October 29th with a meditation with Dr. Zuniga. So that's part of being mindfulness. Part of mindfulness is meditation. So make sure you come back for that one. And then lastly, we value your feedback. So in a follow-up email, there will be a link to a survey. Please take a moment to provide us information about what you learned today, about the speaker, and that is it. So we will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye, everybody.